hey, Mr. Realtor, this is my area of town. You can't come over here trying to list houses. Brandon would go, you're out of your mind. I'll go wherever I want to go. Same thing. So why I'm telling you this is you're going to need to start working the other stuff in the training on finding deals. Okay? So a good example, has anybody created any postcards yet to mail out? Anybody create postcards? Okay. About 5 hands. So we can see there's a lot more people we've got to get out there getting these postcards done. Now, if you want someone who can make postcards really cheap, go to my website, and under the network, click on JR's Referrals. Trinity Digital Printing is there. It's a friend of mine from our old church, Tim. He's the cheapest guy. I don't even like going to Kinko's or Office because they'll tell me it's 5-6 cents a page. Tim's, oh, it's 2 cents.
What's the name of it?
Trinity Digital Printing. But it's on my webpage. Okay? All you have to do is go there, click. It's got his, I think, email, phone number, all that sort of stuff. If it's just his email, then email. But even he, as a business, is so automated now that when you create something, most of you might use like Word or PowerPoint. You create something. Well, printing companies don't like to use Word or PowerPoint. They like PDF. But this is what he's done. You print or have designed what you want printed, and you download this little software for free off his site, and it converts it to PDF for you, and then you can look it over before you approve the job. And then if you approve it, he prints it. Does all my postcard marketing. Does all my, I think he does yours too, right, Brandon? Does all of our stuff. So I'm not like I'm trying to sell you stuff in here today. I'm just trying to get you in the direction that'll help you. You can go to Kinko's, you can go to all those places. This is just a guy that is a wholesale printing company, okay? And sometimes he's going to tell you, I can't get that for you in 2 or 3 days because I've got a $250,000 print job going on. So you're going to take kind of a back seat on that priority where you can walk into a Kinko's or somewhere and say, I need some sheets printed. Now the next thing on this marketing to sell is when we get something under contract and we put it on web pages and we put it out there on every scenario source we can think of, where else can we bring it once a month to try to sell it? Rio, exactly. Now when Rio started about 8 years ago, I guess. Can't even remember. It was 2002. Started in 2002. We sold a ton of properties the first 3-4 years at Rio. And then what happened is the market started changing. People stopped. What we started finding is people were either, one, a timing situation where the deal was gone before Rio, or they just weren't getting things under contract. That's what John and I have noticed with our emails and stuff, is people are not getting things under contract. And then those that were, they were not deals. So this is why we're trying to solve this. So next week when you go over to Dallas, John's office, it's a whole new, different way of doing it, but it works for him. Because our goal was, let's help our Rio people find stuff for Jimmy, that's why we're in the area, and John wherever he wants. But also knowing that we can't buy them all. We cannot, our investors can't buy them all. We have to, as a group, build that network. And networks are going down right now because people are, look how many clubs have gone under in Dallas already because they spread too thin. You network, you group together, you work together, and John calls them mastermind groups. Well, this is bigger than your normal think tank, but for our purposes, it's working. Now, as you move on, where else can you look for properties? It's in your book. But what I thought, because last week what happened, we had a whole thing about probate. Everyone, when we were trying to get out of here, and I told my wife, I promise you, it was over at 1, but I got out of here at 1:30, because everybody was asking about probate, and Connie was here, and everybody see the stack of probates Connie did for just the map area, just for the last 30 days? Well, I thought, okay, maybe I could give you a little bonus today, and invite Brandon, who helped write the probate training that we did, to see if you had any questions. Okay? Not only to take a few minutes on this, and Brandon, come on up, we'll let him sit up here, and give you this scenario. Now the reason is, yes, he and I wrote a training. Yes, the training's always been for sale, but people sometimes want to ask questions, and Brandon got really good at probates. I wrote one part of it, he wrote a bigger part of it, and we just put it together and said, here it is. So that's one angle to go, and after last week, I saw a lot of people asking a lot of questions, and I was just like, wow, we're not going to teach probate, We already put it in a very easy, accessible, price-wise, very affordable. You guys, who went to, when I was training at WIA, went to the classes? You guys were in my class. Wholesale? Remember what we used to sell probate for? It was $1,500. So keep that in mind. We sell it for like $295 on the website. But at this point, I want to take a few minutes, because not only could it help you, it helps the internet group that I have to still deal with. Anybody got a question about probate? Yes, Anthony. Always count on Anthony. He will always have a question for me.
Now, what is the best way that you're using to get the person who has this probate property to contact you that they want to sell? Are you sending a letter to them, or are you calling the independent executive directly, or are you calling the attorney directly? The person handles this.
Well, it's all going to be back to exactly what Jimmy was talking about. It's about marketing. When I first started really getting involved in probate, I did some phone calls, and Christina remembers me making them, and it's a little weird, okay, because the way that I do probate and the way that we have it in that book, you're contacting them maybe 2-3 weeks max after the person passed away. And if you call them that early, nerves are a little raw, okay? I just lost my grandmother 2 weeks ago, and I guarantee if my mom got a call on the phone, it wouldn't be pretty. So I don't like calling. Same back with McDonald's. They don't call you and ask you, do you want a Big Mac? I send them my marketing, and my marketing's changed a little bit now since now I'm a realtor, because I can either list it or I can buy it, but it's still the same basic marketing, where I'm letting them know that I can help them out with their problem. Now in the marketing, I spell out, I basically train them how to do the house themselves. But in doing so, and we had our buddy Tim Beeler look at the letter, who's really schooled in neurolinguistic programming. Y'all ever heard of NLP? Okay, he's schooled in that, and so he's very good at marketing. He went through it and helped us fix the letter so that it pushed the right buttons. And basically, as they're reading this letter, they realize, oh my God, this is a real pain in the butt. It's going to cost a lot of money. I'm just going to call Brandon. And so really, it all comes down to marketing, but not only just to the executors or the administrators. There's two different terms, by the way. You hear executor a lot. An executor is if somebody dies with a will. That's called a testate. Okay? Then you'll have an executor that gets appointed in the will. If they die intestate, which means without a will, you'll have an administrator appointed, and there's two different kinds of administrators. You have a dependent and an independent. Independent's going to focus or function a little more like an executor, in that they've got a lot of latitude to do what they want. A dependent administrator is going to have to go to the court for everything to get it approved.
And I want to go back to that letter, because that is the key. When he said we brought Tim in, you have to know his background. He's a SWAT negotiator, okay? But he also is a real estate investor, and he was my student back in 1998. We've actually have learned a lot from him. Very successful investor, and he moved here to the Metroplex area. But that letter doesn't approach like most letters would approach. We have two versions in the book. We have the not a Christian type, I hate to say it, but kind of basically not a Christian, more secular, and then one that comes from the standpoint of doing, the right thing. And what I wanted you to understand is what he said was, if you noticed it, he goes, we try to help them do it on their own. See, it's this serving. So when I started out earlier today saying that big picture, serving God, this is the stuff that, I got to tell you, when you're focused on money and you get off track from the bigger picture of God, I've gone pretty much broke at least 3 times. I'm not going to say it couldn't happen again. And every time my wife and I looked, well, what happened?